Okay, I'm back. Welcome to the show. I'm Dr. Fat. I am the gambling man. Okay, where we left off at the brokenheartedness of not being able to go to Hialeah. And I've started my first year of school, which didn't go well. So my mother's not too pleased with me. On top of it, the only motivation I have is to go to the racetrack. Everything is about the racetrack. Nothing is about learning anything in school or doing anything but let's go to the racetrack, Dad. That was always the thing. And he always told me produce and you can go to the racetrack. Well, I guess I have to start in PS 193 again. Kindergarten, as I said, did not go well. Now, you can see over here, I got the mush sitting next to me, right, mush? You're going to be on many times. They can see only part of you on the show. That's okay. And I feel sorry for the mush because when I tell this story, it's not going to, we're probably going to get a real reaction out of this poor little baby. Right, mush? But anyway, here it goes. I can't talk about my gambling life unless I talk about the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer trauma. Now, everybody remembers Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I think it started in 1965. I'm 4.5 years old, had just been to Aqueduct. Aqueduct is the greatest place on the planet. And now it's Christmas time, and we're going to watch Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And talking about Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, I have to set the scene. I was able to stay up late that night. I think it premiered at 8 o'clock. It was the first time it was ever shown. It was, to me, the greatest cinema of all time, Rudolph. And I had an older sister. She was a year older. So she's part of this story for sure. And my mother and my father, they're resting on different couches. We're all sitting around watching Rudolph. Rudolph begins. And hey, Dad says to me, John, your middle name, it's Rudolph. Oh, yeah. Oh, great. Rudolph, me and Rudolph. Hey, beautiful. Now, 4.5 years old. I'm digging Rudolph. Everything's golden. Happy. It comes on. Rudolph. Hey, Rudolph has a nice mom and dad. Everything's okay. But they're a little upset about the nose. All right. All right. But, okay, I'm handling it fine. 4.5 years old, Rudolph. Then he goes and he meets a bunch of his pals. Everything's working out until the nose gets revealed. Now he's an outcast. He's a misfit. Now my heart starts pounding a little bit. I'm getting a little upset. Rudolph is not having a good time, but he made a girlfriend. So everything's a little bit better. He's got Clarice going, and that's okay. So it's Rudolph, but what does Rudolph do? He gets all upset. He takes off. What happens? Along his way, he meets that dentist kid. What's his name? Hermes? Hermes the elf? Hermes? Hope so. But anyway, he's an outcast. They don't like him being a dentist. They want him to do his elf work. So he takes off and they meet up. Okay, now they meet up. Now my heart's resting a little bit. I'm okay. They're together. They're misfits, but they're together. Hey, it's Rudolph. So what do? They start taking off. What happens? They get the peak of the abominable snowman. Now my heart starts pounding again. Abominable. But he takes off. Nothing's getting crazy yet. And who do they meet? Yukon Cornelius. Yukon Cornelius and all those little dogs, right? Right, Mush? Them little dogs? We love those little dogs, right? So anyway, now they're all together and they set off. And where did they end up going? To the island of misfit toys. Now I'm a little bummed out again because they go to the island, they see all these nice toys, nobody's adopting them. So I'm like, oh no, I'm getting sad here. And then Rudolph kind of knows he can't stay with his friends anymore because of his nose will attract the abominable snowman, and then They're all going to get it. So Rudolph takes off all by himself. Now my heart's pounding. He goes home to see mom and dad. Mom and dad's not there. His girlfriend's not there. I'm starting to panic a little bit. My father's like half asleep watching Rudolph. He doesn't care. My mom's kind of watching, and I'm starting to sweat a little bit, because Rudolph, my namesake, is, having his problems. Santa comes over and he says, Rudolph, where have you been? Your mother and father are looking for you. Your girlfriend, too. Everybody's gone. I'll find them, sir. Okay, tells Santa. He's going to go find them. So there's hope now. And where does he find them? In the cave of the abominable snowman. Now my heart's going because they don't look happy. Something bad is going to happen here. And I'm like living and dying on every second of this show. And then somehow they get out of it. Rudolph helps save the day. Yukon Cornelius starts bouncing the abominable away, but over the cliff. And they all go over. And Rudolph looks over and says, they're gone. They're gone. And I went out of my mind, started hyperventilating, walking around the room, crying, going out of my mind. I needed comfort, and I made the worst mistake in my life. I looked over to my mother, and I could see her. I look over to her. She pops up. I'm trying to get out the words. What happened? What happened? They're dead! That's what my mother said to me. The G forces that hit me, the decibel levels of those two words, technically three, just knocked me down to the floor. And I swear to you, I felt my heart stop, start, and then start pounding again. I got up like the cowardly lion in The Wizard of Oz after he got yelled at and jumped into my father's arms. And he could feel my heart pounding into his chest. And he's like, it's okay, little fool. It's okay. It's okay. And I'm like, Dad, can we go to Hialeah? And he looked over at my mom in disgust. He goes, yes, we'll go to Hialeah. Now, I'm still in my father's arms, and I'm trying to get it together. And this is all during the commercial break. And the show comes back on. And Burl Ives comes on, the narrator, and says, oh, well, goodbye to our dear friends, something along those lines. And you got to pick up and continue on. And they all go home. And they go see Santa. And everybody's sad, but happy that these people are alive. Rudolph and company. Everybody's okay, except Yukon Cornelius and all those little dogs. They're all gone. And I'm still going out of my mind, still shaking a little bit. But everything's all right. Because what happens, you hear that knock on the door. And Yukon Cornelius and all the little dogs come in. And the abominable snowman comes in. But he's got no teeth. And he can't hurt anybody. And look at what he can do. And he puts the star on. And they're like, what? What happened? What happened? And he goes, Bumbles bounce. And then they start cheering and having a great time. But wait, Santa says, "Hey, wait, we're not going anywhere. The storm's too much. It's a no-go. Christmas will be canceled." I'm going out of my mind again. And I can see, I kind of look over to my mother because I'll never do that again. But I didn't learn. I was too stupid in those days. So I'm getting the peripheral vision going and seeing. And she's all bummed that Yukon Cornelius is alive and the dogs made it. Because she can see I'm relieved. I'm almost happy about this. Saddened by the fact that Rudolph, now that's it. There's no Christmas until Santa sees Rudolph and his greatness. And he says, Rudolph, with your nose so bright, and you know the rest of that story. And it ended up being a wonderful, happy story after my first heart attack and stroke. And my mother and the decibel level and the G forces that their dead hit me with, I will never forget and have been traumatized year after year. And the last year that my father and I watched Rudolph, Christmas of 2016, he still gave me a hard time. And he says, do we have to hear about your mother again? Do we have to hear about their dead again, you imbecile? I go, Dad, every year. And we're watching Rudolph, and, he was never into the animation or any of that stuff. It was like an hour he slept through, but not this one. And this was the last Christmas of his life. And at the end of the show, he said, I can still feel your heart beating into my chest. And I always will remember, thanks to Rudolph, I was on the right horse. I had my choice in life, be a mommy's boy or, go with dad. I decided to roll with dad. And that day, I was on the right horse for the rest of his life. I chose right. And from that day on, my mother and I, we were never the same because um, uh, I was afraid. She scared me. I was scared. That's about it. But it did shape the gambling man. It was the first right horse I ever picked. I bet on dad and never lost. All right, that's this show. Have a nice day. We'll get it together more and more. You'll start getting a picture. I'm Dr. Fat. I am the gambling man.